Stop. You're probably wondering why I'm doing this. The short version is this. So this finally arrived at my doorstep yesterday. And what you were seeing before is actually footage of me yesterday preparing for the vlog that I'm going to record today. Today is Sunday, January 4th. It ended up taking a little bit longer than expected to get my JXL to arrive here in Finland from Androgenetic, but it's finally here. And today we are going to go over exactly what I plan to do with this compound over the next couple of months. We'll talk about which dosages I'm going to use, how often I'll apply it, and what other compounds I'm staying on while using it. And just as importantly, what you need to be cautious about, because the mechanics of this compound is not harmless if you're careless or just plainly uninformed. So before we talk about protocols, timelines, or results, we need to answer one very basic question. Exactly what is JXL069? So let me explain why JXL069 is such an important step in the fight against hair loss. JXL works by directly targeting androgen signaling inside the hair follicle itself. In androgenic hair loss, the problem isn't always testosterone flowing around in your blood. The problem is that certain hair follicles, which are usually found around here in the crown and the scalp area, are hypersensitive to androgens, especially DHT. And over time, that signals tell the follicle to shrink, weaken, and eventually just stop producing terminal hair completely. What JXL does is to step in at that exact signaling point locally in the scalp and weaken the androgen message that the follicle is receiving from DHT or testosterone or even tren if that's what you're using. When that signal is reduced, the follicle is no longer being pushed towards miniaturization, which means that it's no longer being pushed towards getting smaller or just stop producing hair. That allows the growth phase to lengthen again, hair shafts will become thicker, and in many cases, visible regrowth can and will occur. And that is exactly why JXL behaves very different from treatments that don't address androgen signaling directly. And that is also where we see stuff like PP405 come into the picture. You see, PP405 is based on the exact same biological idea as JXL is, which is that if you control androgen signaling locally at the follicle level, you can treat hair loss effectively without needing to shut down hormones throughout the entire body with stuff like finasteride or testosterone, or even go further and use IU584 that might have unintended side effects. In that sense, JXL069 and PP405 are much more similar than they're different.
I am your father. It's not true. That's impossible.
They are targeting the exact same pathway in the same tissue for the same reason. So you can think of JXL as the compound that they developed to prove the concept and then later to be able to get a patent on the product that they produced. They, of course, came out with a more refined version that is PP405. Now, while we don't have PP405 available to us, we do have this JXL, and that is exactly why I am so excited to test out this new compound. So now that you understand what JXL is and what it is not, the next question is, how am I actually going to use this? I'm treating this as a controlled long-term test. That means conservative dosing, consistent application, and minimizing as many variables as possible so that if I see changes, positive or negative, I can actually understand why. And for this experiment, JXL will be used as a topical, applied once daily directly to the affected areas, which is going to be all over my scalp. And I'm planning to apply 1 milliliter a day on the scalp area, which equates into 0.5 milligrams a day, except for days where I'm doing microneedling. At the same time, I am keeping the rest of my regimen completely stable, which means that I'll be doing 0.5 milligrams of dutasteride a day, the 80 milligrams of IU584 a day also, and I'll be doing once weekly microneedling session. Mind you that That day, as I said, I don't do any topicals, super important, and daily scalp massages with the Grow Band 2.0 for at least 5 minutes a day and more if I find the time in the day. So if JXL is going to produce any changes, I want to be confident that those changes are coming from JXL and not some weird change that I suddenly introduced in my regime. On top of that, as you saw in the video, I will now be buzzing my hair on the top before every vlog update to the same length on the top, so that we can have consistent hair length on the entire series of this video vlogging. Now, this is all super interesting, but before we keep going, I just want to pause for a second and talk about safety. And yes, I know that sucks, nobody cares about it, the only thing we want is new hair. Even though JXL is something you apply to the scalp, I don't think it should be treated like normal hair products. It is meant to act locally, but topical doesn't automatically mean that it will stay local no matter what you do. If you're overusing it, overdoing it, apply huge amounts, or even putting on irritated skin, or even doing something like microneedling and then use it the same day, you increase the chance that more of this stuff will get into your system that you have intended for. So if you're following along and you're thinking about trying something similar like this for yourself, just keep that in mind, please. And since we're talking about following along, if you are curious about JXL069 and you want to look more into it for yourself, the one that I'm using is from Androgenetic.com. I do have a discount code with them, which is Blueprint, which gives you 10% off if you decide to order. But I'm not here to push anyone into buying anything. This is just there for the people who are already interested and want to follow along more closely. If you'd rather just watch the updates and see how this plays out first, that is totally fine too. Either way, I will be documenting everything honestly as I can as we go. And you can always go and find another vendor that you like more or better, whatever you decide. Just as always, please make sure to have a third-party lab test so you make sure that what you're applying to the scalp is actually what you intended to. Okay, so besides me applying this for the first time and a quick first day picture at my hair bust down to 25 millimeters length, I don't think there's a lot more to show in this video. So officially, this is day 1 in my new JXL069 experiment, and I'm expecting results to show in 8 weeks or so. So hopefully we will have interesting results in a few weeks.